What we're witnessing in Cleveland right now is less about a football depth chart and more about a corporate coup. This is a full-blown civil war inside the Browns organization, and the owner, Jimmy Haslam, just fired the first and possibly the final shot. Let me hit you with the absolute core of the chaos. Browns head coach Kevin Stefanski was just forced, and I mean forced, to stand in front of the world and officially name rookie golden boy Shedeur Sanders as the team's QB2. This wasn't a coaching decision. This was a public execution of his authority. The whispers coming out of Berea have turned into an avalanche. Sources say Haslam, the impatient hands-on owner, cornered a defeated Stefanski immediately after practice, essentially demanding the public declaration of Shedeur's new status. This move comes after weeks of what can only be described as a philosophical and power standoff between the three most powerful men in the building: Haslam, general manager Andrew Berry, and Stefanski himself. The common ground they were supposed to share on how to manage the most crucial position in all of sports has completely crumbled. You saw the first tremor last week. The veteran safety net Joe Flacco was unceremoniously shipped out in the middle of the night. That trade reeked of front office meddling, a move that stunned the coaching staff. Then, the starter, Dillon Gabriel, went out against Pittsburgh and completely imploded in the fourth quarter, looking shaky, unsure, and overwhelmed. And all week, what did we see from Stefanski? Evasion. He refused point blank to give a straight answer on Shedeur Sanders' status. He dodged, he weaved, he deflected, treating a simple depth chart question like a state secret. The media was in an uproar, demanding to know, dude, why is it this complicated to name your backup? Today, we got our answer, and it was delivered by a coach who looked like he was reading a confession at gunpoint. The breaking news landed. Shedeur Sanders is officially QB2, but let's cut through the noise and expose the dirty little secret everyone is missing. The truth hiding in plain sight. This was never a football decision. This was a pure power play. Flacco was traded away like a pawn in this three-way standoff. With Gabriel faltering, Stefanski tried to hold the line. He tried to protect his rookie, to bring him along his way, on his timeline. He lost the fight. The question isn't if Shedeur is the future, but what is really going on behind the closed doors of that cursed Cleveland facility? And more importantly, is Shedeur Sanders about to expose the deep-seated dysfunction the Browns organization desperately wants to hide? Let's dive into the sheer agony of that press conference, because Stefanski walked in looking like a man who'd just been called into the principal's office after being caught cheating on a final exam. You could practically taste the raw, unfiltered tension. He had to stand there and finally admit what every fan, every beat reporter, and every bookie in the country knew was inevitable. Shedeur is the backup for Sunday's game against the Minnesota Vikings. But again, the question remains, why did this take so long? We're talking about a simple depth chart announcement, something that happens with zero fanfare in 31 other NFL cities. But this isn't anywhere else. This is Cleveland, where nothing is simple, especially with a quarterback. When you have an impatient results now owner like Haslam breathing down your neck, a general manager like Andrew Berry pulling strings to protect his draft assets and justify his roster construction, and a head coach desperately trying to maintain some semblance of control, you don't have a football team. You have a political pressure cooker. Rewind back to Wednesday. Reporters asked the most basic question: who is your backup? Stefanski literally refused. He offered vague coach speak about processes and development, dodging questions like Neo in the Matrix. Media members called him out. What's so complicated about naming your QB2? I'll tell you what's complicated. The decisions that truly matter in Cleveland are no longer being made by the head coach. They're being made in boardrooms by suits who have never called a play in their lives. Jimmy Haslam wants the sizzle, the excitement, the ticket sales, the jersey revenue, the franchise savior he drafted in the first round. Andrew Berry wants to protect his organizational assets and validate his draft picks. And Kevin Stefanski is caught in the middle, trying to coach a football team while his bosses play political chess with his players. And then came the bombshell that revealed the true extent of the chaos. Late Wednesday night, the Cleveland Browns traded Joe Flacco. Let that sink into your soul for a second. The guy who came off the couch and literally saved your entire season last year, your veteran security blanket, is unceremoniously shipped out in the middle of a game week. Stefanski himself was stunned by the move. When your own head coach is blindsided by the trade of a major, key player, you know there is deep-seated toxic dysfunction at the highest levels of the organization. A reporter asked him straight up, "Were you shocked by the Flacco trade?" And you could see Stefanski's poker face fail smile for a split second. The word shocked formed on his lips before he quickly walked it back to the more politically correct surprised. But we all heard it. We all felt it. This man had no idea his insurance policy was being ripped away until it was already gone. He admitted he didn't even get to talk to some of his own players until the next morning because the trade went down so late. Think about the operational chaos of that. Your starter, Dillon Gabriel, struggled mightily in the fourth quarter, and suddenly your safety net is gone, forcing you to elevate a rookie you've been deliberately protecting all season long. Stefanski spent the entire week talking about the importance of being intentional with young quarterbacks. He kept repeating the mantra that he wanted to make sure he was doing what was best for the player's development. Those are noble words, but the subtext was screaming, I am not ready to throw this kid to the wolves yet. And honestly, you can't blame him. Shedeur Sanders is special. We all see the talent, but the NFL is a meat grinder, a monster that chews up and spits out unprepared rookies. Bringing a young quarterback along slowly, the right way, is the only way to ensure success. Stefanski knows this. He's seen what happens when you rush a young player into a chaotic losing situation. One disastrous game can permanently derail an entire career. But the problem is Kevin Stefanski no longer has the luxury of time. Not with a meddling owner breathing down his neck, not with the fans on social media and sports radio calling for change, and certainly not with Dillon Gabriel looking shaky and the season beginning to slip away. So today he had to stand up there, swallow his pride, and give the people, and far more importantly his boss, what they wanted to hear. Shedeur will be the backup. 5 simple words that should have been spoken on Wednesday. 5 words that took 3 extra days. A media firestorm, and a tense closed-door confrontation with ownership to finally get out of his mouth. And even as he said it, his posture, his tone, the dead look in his eyes told you everything you needed to know. This was not his decision. Now, let's analyze what we actually heard in that press conference, because Stefanski's answers are a window into the internal chaos. A reporter asked him what the key is for Shedeur in his first official time as the QB2. Stefanski launched into full coach speak overdrive. All of us play our role. That backup quarterback role is a little bit different. You have to be ready in a moment's notice. Stay ready so you don't have to get ready. The translation is clear. I am terrified that Dillon Gabriel goes down, and I have to put this rookie in the game on the road against a hungry Minnesota Vikings team. I'm not saying that to be dramatic. I'm saying it because it's the stone cold reality. Stefanski's job is on the line. The Browns are barely staying afloat, and now he has to prepare a rookie who, by all accounts, has been working his tail off in practice, but has not taken a single meaningful NFL snap. Another reporter asked him directly, how did you make sure that this is the best thing for Shedeur's development? And Stefanski just kept repeating the same broken record. I take my time with these decisions. I want to make sure I'm doing what's right for all the players. That's really every decision I make. But you know what he never once said? This was my decision. He never said, I have decided that Shedeur is ready. He talked about his process, his desire to take his time, but there was zero ownership of the actual choice. That's because this decision came from above. Jimmy Haslam saw the media firestorm brewing. He saw the fans on social media questioning why their prized first-round pick wasn't even active on game days. He saw the terrible optics of trading away a beloved veteran like Flacco and still not elevating the kid everyone wants to see. So he made the call. He put his foot down, and Kevin Stefanski had to fall in line. Now here's the part that is really going to matter for Shedeur Sanders specifically. The coach, for all his defensiveness, offered high praise. He has been coming up the learning curve from both a mental and physical standpoint, attacking the game plan, working extremely hard at the mental side of things. That is high praise from a coach who is notoriously reserved. But here's the other side of the coin, the part Stefanski didn't say. He didn't say Shedeur is ready to run the full, unadulterated offense. When asked if Shedeur could step in and execute most of the same concepts that Dillon Gabriel runs, Stefanski gave the most politically evasive answer of the day. With any quarterback that is in there, you're always playing to their strengths, but our focus is making sure we're running our offense. Read between the lines, people. That means if Shedeur has to go in, they are going to simplify everything. They will shrink the playbook. They will lean heavily on the run game. They will call plays designed to protect him rather than showcase him. Why? Because Stefanski does not trust the situation yet. Not because he doesn't trust Shedeur's talent, but because he knows what happens when rookie quarterbacks get thrown into a chaotic environment without the proper preparation and support system. Let's be honest about the situation Shedeur is walking into. The Browns' offensive line has been inconsistent. The weapons are banged up. The play calling has been highly questionable. And now you're going on the road to play a tough Minnesota Vikings team with a defense capable of making even veteran quarterbacks look silly. That is a monumental amount of weight to put on a rookie's shoulders. But here's the plot twist that's going to make some of you angry, but I have to say it. Shedeur Sanders might actually be better than Dillon Gabriel right now, and the Browns organization knows it. They just can't admit it publicly because of the embarrassment it would cause. Think about it. You draft a quarterback in the first round with all the hype in the world. He's Deion Sanders' son, Colorado's golden boy, a guy who threw for over 3,000 yards in his final college season and possesses a natural, innate feel for the game that simply cannot be taught. And you're telling me he can't beat out a starter who repeatedly struggles in high-leverage situations? Come on now. Let's keep it real. The reason Kevin Stefanski took so long to name Shedeur as QB2 wasn't because Shedeur wasn't ready. It was because once you elevate him to QB2, the pressure to make him QB1 becomes immediate and overwhelming. The fans start calling for him after every single incompletion from the starter. The media starts asking about it in every single press conference. And suddenly, your veteran starter is looking over his shoulder, playing with the fear of being benched, which is a recipe for disaster. That is the real reason for the delay. That is the source of the real tension you saw in that press conference. Stefanski knows what's coming. He knows that the moment Shedeur Sanders touches the field, whether it's in garbage time or because Dillon gets hurt, people are gonna fall in love with what they see. Why? Because Shedeur has that it factor, that swagger, that magnetic playmaking ability you simply cannot manufacture. So why is everyone acting like Shedeur being QB2 is some kind of massive risk? Why is there this lingering narrative that he's not ready when everything we're hearing suggests he's been working his tail off? I'll tell you why. Because the Browns organization cannot afford to admit that they might have rushed the Dillon Gabriel experiment. They cannot afford to look like they wasted another year of development time. They cannot afford to have yet another quarterback controversy in a city that's had 1 million of them. But the truth is staring everyone in the face. Shedeur Sanders is the future of this franchise, and everyone in that building in Berea, Ohio knows it. The question isn't if he is going to be the starter, it's when. Now let's talk about what Sunday actually means for Shedeur. He's suiting up as QB2 against a Minnesota Vikings team that, in Stefanski's own words, requires everyone's best when their best is required. That is a dangerous game to be the backup in because anything can happen. One wrong hit on the starter, one bad decision by Dillon, one more fourth quarter collapse, and suddenly Shedeur is being told to strap up his helmet and go save the day. That is an immense amount of pressure for anyone, let alone a rookie making his debut. But here's why I'm not worried about Shedeur if and when that moment comes. He has been preparing for it his entire life. This kid grew up with a Hall of Fame father who knows exactly what it takes to succeed at the highest level. He's had the best coaching, the best training, the best mentorship money can buy. And beyond all of that, he has the unshakable confidence and the cool swagger to step into any situation and believe he belongs there. The real story here isn't just about Shedeur being named QB2. It is about the power struggle happening behind the scenes in Cleveland. It's about a head coach who is losing control of his own roster decisions. It's about an owner who is desperate for a superstar and willing to override his coaching staff to make it happen. It's about a GM caught in the middle trying to balance long-term planning with short-term survival. The Joe Flacco trade tells you everything you need to know. That was not a football decision. That was a business decision made by people who don't care about locker room chemistry or giving their head coach a heads up before they blow up his quarterback room. And now Stefanski is the one left holding the bag. He's been put in a no-win scenario and he's still trying to do right by his players. Here's my prediction for what happens next. Dillon Gabriel starts on Sunday. He will probably play okay, maybe even good enough to win if the defense dominates. But the very second that something goes wrong, the calls for Shedeur are going to be deafening. Cleveland fans are absolutely fed up with mediocrity. They want to see something exciting. They want to see hope. And Shedeur Sanders represents both of those things. So whether it's this week or week 12 or next season, Shedeur's time is coming. And when it does, I genuinely believe we're going to look back at this tense, awkward press conference as the exact moment that everything changed in Cleveland. Because Shedeur Sanders isn't just just another quarterback. He's a franchise-altering talent who has been trapped behind a set of circumstances beyond his control. But those circumstances are shifting. The door is creaking open, and when he finally walks through it, the entire NFL is going to take notice. So, I want to hear from you. Do you believe Shedeur should already be the starter? Is Kevin Stefanski protecting him, or is he genuinely holding him back from his destiny? And when he finally gets his shot, do you think he's gonna ball out or crumble under the immense pressure? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, because I want to hear what you have to say. And if you made it this far, you are one of the real ones. Hit that subscribe button and turn on all notifications, because we are covering every single twist and turn of the Shedeur Sanders saga. This story is just getting started, and you do not want to miss what happens next. I'll catch you in the next one.